Another child is forced to carry out an unwanted pregnancy after being raped by her father. Another college student is forced to become a mother just because she forgot to take a pill. Another teenager is forced to become a teen mom because she is not allowed to terminate in the state she lives in, even with parental consent. I feel the life that I live today is a direct result of the pro-choice movement. I chose to have my daughter at the age of 16, and I chose again to have an abortion during my senior year of high school when I was 18. I can speak on this subject passionately because I have had motherhood sitting at my door 2 times in my life, and I am grateful that both times I could choose. Let's begin with the pro-choice movement and when it began. We could actually say that the pro-choice movement began back in 450 BC, when Hippocrates condemned the practice of abortion. This is a direct quote from the Oath of Hippocrates, written in 400 BC. I will give no deadly medicine to anyone if asked, nor suggest any counsel. And in like manner, I will not give a woman a pessary to produce abortion. That's how long women have actually been given the choice to have abortions. We can fast forward to more modern times when giving women the choice to have abortions was still around, 1800s. In 1820, Connecticut was actually the first state to start passing laws that banned the practice of abortions after the quickening of the fetus, which means when the fetus starts moving. For some people, that can start before 8 weeks. Some people claim to feel butterflies, or before 20 weeks, you can feel a child move. So you can see where the lines would be blurred of when it could be appropriate to have an abortion or not in Connecticut. By 1860, it was up to 20 states that had laws that had different stipulations for abortions. And although there were states that still allowed abortions, there was not many supporters, or at least spoken supporters of abortion rights. Since women's rights were just kind of beginning and were not that prevalent, the pro-choice movement is hard to timeline because it was so unspoken of. It was looked down then to get abortions, and it's looked down now. In 1970, Alaska, Hawaii, New York, and Washington all made abortions legal by the request of a woman and her doctor. Then, on January 22nd, 1973, the Supreme Court of the United States of America handed down the Roe v. Wade decision in making abortions legal in the United States. But that's federally legal, since every state was given the right to regulate it and have its own stipulations. It really draws the question of what was the point of making it legal if there's going to be a million hoops to jump through. My question is that why governments full of men and male governors have the right to regulate how women choose to reproduce, or when they choose to reproduce. According to NARL, Roe v. Wade did not give women an unlimited right to abortion. Roe was a balanced decision taking into account both a woman's right to make decisions about her own body and future, and the state's interest in protecting potential life. In Roe, the Supreme Court legalized abortion until viability, the point at which the fetus is capable of surviving outside the woman's body. But as we all know, there are premature babies that weigh less than a pound that can survive. That again makes it very great to when and where abortions can be legal. Every anti-abortion movements are lobbying to pass legislation that will continue to make it harder for women to make informed choices about wanting to become mothers. If the pro-choice movement does not take a stand, everyone is going to wake up one day and be back in the back alley abortion times. Here are some facts from NARL's website about abortion. Nearly 9 in 10 abortions take place in early pregnancy. That means before the 8 weeks. Access to abortions is limited. 80% of U.S. counties have no abortion providers in them. In states where parental involvement laws are made, 61% of parents know of their daughter's decisions to terminate their pregnancy. What about the rest? To hit on some newer developments in the abortion rights movement, November 2013 in Ohio, doctors became prohibited from performing abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy unless the fetus was non-viable. So what they actually did, with a quote from Dr. James Melillo, a Columbus obstetrician and gynecologist, he said, "It's worse to leave a patient without medical care because doctors are afraid of violating the law." And that's what it's coming down to. Women getting abortions after the 20 weeks, the old-fashioned way from when you hear in the 1950s in the back alleys. Another interesting article I came across on the Washington Times and Huffington Post was about how in Michigan, women now have to purchase a separate rider in their insurance if they want to pay for abortions. So the women who become pregnant through rape and incest must have this rider for abortions to have it paid for, which is ridiculous because who plans on this? To conclude, the fact is that I feel fortunate to see both sides of the argument about abortions. My daughter was the best thing to ever happen to me. She is my world, and I can't imagine my life without her. But things have not always been so easy, and I am lucky to have such a great partner who decided to get married at 16. But I am also grateful that I made the right choice to get an abortion my senior year of high school when I experienced another unplanned pregnancy with my husband. There are still many things I wish to do for myself, like finish high school, and there are many things that I wanted to provide for my daughter that I wouldn't be able to if I had my second child. If I could do anything with this speech, it would be to help people understand that pro-choice does not mean you're pro-abortion. It just means you understand the decision to become a mother is a very personal one, and one that the government should completely stay out of.